Hi, I'm Saurav, founder and CEO of University Living. We are a global student housing managed marketplace. And today I have a very interesting guest right from Italy. And his name is Mauro. He's been marketing manager for CRM Students, Italy. Mauro, with a strong background in engineering and marketing, brings together a vast experience into real estate, especially purpose-based student accommodation. You know, at CRM Students, which is a leading provider of student accommodation, Mauro focusing on enhancing customer engagement and driving brand through innovative strategies. CRM Students is renowned for offering high quality student-centered living all across Europe, especially in Italy, especially under the leadership of Mauro. Mauro, how are you doing?
Yeah, fine, Saurabh. And first of all, thanks a lot to you and to all University Living team for reaching me out. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Likewise, the pleasure all ours, and I'm very, very excited to interact with you. You know, I guess we did meet once in Milan when I was last there.
Yeah, correct. It was a pleasure for me. I was at the beginning of my career into that market.
How things been since? I guess it's good 1.5 years. So how your transition? How things with you since then?
Yeah, it's fantastic. We developed as Beyoo. Beyoo is the European brand that CRM Student has decided to use to go in Europe. So with Beyoo, we managed to open a lot of buildings here in Italy. We have already 5 buildings under the brand Beyoo. Some other will arrive. Obviously, you know that I don't know in this moment if they will be under the brand Beyoo. But in any case, what it is for sure is that the quality and the standard of our student accommodation will be exactly the same, obviously.
That's great to hear, exciting. So, talking about CRM students, and you also mentioned about Beyoo. For our audience, would love to understand what is the relationship between CRM students and Beyoo. Beyoo is the European brand for CRM students. Please go deep.
Yeah, you're totally correct. Beyoo is a brand. This brand is 100% managed by CRM Students, and they decided to use Beyoo to come into continental Europe, and this is quite easy to be understand. Beyoo is a brand that communicates something young, something for young people, and also something in terms of empowerment. Be you, be yourself, take yourself, because we all know that the university, when you start the university, is the moment in which, let me say, you grow, okay, because you start really planning your future in a very precise way from the choice of the university. So be yourself and start taking your life in your hands and decide what you want to do.
Very interesting. Tell me more about you, Mauro. What is your background? How you land up with CRM? What were you doing before that?
I come from a background of engineering. I studied engineering when I was in university, but really from the very beginning, I started working in marketing, and I bring all the experience that I have done in university together with me. So a great analytical skill that it is very useful when you do marketing. It's always a marketing sales oriented, so oriented to sell something in this case. And then I start obviously from the very bottom till arriving where I am today, always managing team and always managing experience and sales for the company I work for. And every time I enter into the market, I enjoy studying the market, understanding how to make marketing in that market. And this is exactly what has happened when I entered the student accommodation market. Generally speaking, the only advantage that I have from university, which is a great advantage, is the possibility to analyze, okay, and take decision, and then as a feedback circuit, okay, seeing if the decision was correct and proceed on again. So that's I arrived at this experience after an experience into CBRE, which is a real estate advisory company, and previously I was in UCI Cinema, a company of cinema here in Italy with 50 cinema, so a big one with a lot of competition there. And then finally, as I said, now I am in the real estate market. If we want to enter into some detail regarding that market here in Italy, which is, we can say that Italy is still an immature market in terms of student accommodation. We are at the beginning of a long journey. According to all the report from 2023 by GLL and 2024 by Saville, the provision rate is around 3.84%, which is far below more mature European market. Obviously, this is a general value. Sometimes it can be a little different in some big city. For example, in city like Milan, it can be obviously different, but we are anyway far from the peak that we see in UK or in other continental European country. So that's the reason why today the investors are looking at Italy as a great possibility, and in the next future we will see more and more student accommodation coming out. Obviously, the low provision rate.
Wait. Otherwise,
Okay.
Let me decipher. Our audience is very diverse. We have students, we have parents, we have education partners, we have universities. Of course, we have accommodation partners. So for accommodation partners, we know what is provision rate. But can I zoom out? If you allow, and talk about, okay, let's talk about Italy, and then, if I'm not wrong, there are 98 universities, around 120, almost 1.59 million students studying in Italy, out of which 120,000 students are international students. There are majority students coming from European Union, unlike lots of other Anglophone countries where the majority students coming from Asia, especially from China, India. Europe, for that matter, is different than other Anglophone countries like UK, Australia, US and Canada, right? So you want to diverge, you mentioned about provision rate. So what is provision rate?
Yeah. The provision rate is the number of available beds into a student accommodation divided for the total number of students that are searching for a bed because they study away from home. Okay, how we calculate the provision rate.
So you mentioned 4%, So you are saying,
Correct.
Can you help me and put some numbers here?
Yeah, sure. If we consider 100 the student that needs to sleep away from home, so searching for a bed in order to study when they are away from home, just 4 of them are able to be accommodated into a student accommodation because we do not have spaces for all of them. So if we sum all the available beds here in Italy, okay, into a student accommodation, and we divided for the number of foreign students studying away from home, we obtain that value, which is the 4%.
Okay. So I'll try to be more simple. So we have 1.9 million students in Italy, out of which around 6% are international students, right? Which is approximately 120,000 students, and then there is 31% are mobile student, if I'm not wrong, which is again, another almost 600,000 students. So you are saying, and we have how many beds in PBSA in Italy?
I don't know exactly this number. Just if you give me some moment, I can find that for you without any problem. But let me.
Yeah, so that is 74,000 bed stocks as per my team research. There are around 74,000 bed stocks in PBSA, and approximately, 37% of students are either international students or mobile students. So 74,000.
Correct. We have more or less 70. Let's say, more or less the number is correct.
Okay. So am I talking right? If I divide 74,000 divided by probably 720,000 students, so that is around 10%. So
yeah, but it's you have to consider that to the students that you are speaking about, there are also Italian students that are on mobility, so students that come from away, because we have a concentration here of university only in some particular region. I mean, there are regions where we do not have any university, okay, and so there is also a great mobility regarding Italian students. So if you sum to the number that you say, also the students that are on Italian students that are on mobility, okay, that's you see that the number are a little different, okay, and you arrive more or less at that 4% that I was speaking about.
So more or less, it's a single-digit provision rate in Italy, which which means there's lots of opportunity for real estate investor into student housing, and also that also reflect that international students, especially from India, South Asia, Middle East, they need to start looking for accommodation early, and they also need to start looking beyond university halls. And in Italy, like any other European country, not many universities got beds on campus.
That's totally correct. This is another aspect that we can go deep on. Mainly, we do not have here in Italy, I mean, there are some, obviously, but the university has always been public university, so they comes out from the government as an institution, okay? Then, obviously, in the late 20th century, a lot of other private universities start their operation here in Italy. So it is more probable that a private university has a campus with a given number of beds, but we do not have as many private universities as in other countries. And at the same time, the public university obviously try to provide some beds, okay, but they do not have enough fund also to make those, because obviously the rate to enroll and to engage into a public university are lower than those in private university, and this leads to a lack of bed. And in fact, as always happen in this period of year, because we are obviously the university is in Italy starts between second half of September and October. We always see to some news coming out regarding the lack of bed, the problem of bed here in Italy, okay, because we have this is a problem, obviously, a problem which is even more stressed now by the fact that a lot of private landlord prefer to rent their own house to the touristic market, because now it has become easier thanks to Airbnb, okay, and so there is even less stock available for students, while in the past room inside a shared apartment were an alternative to student accommodation. Now also on those two other possibilities, the numbers are going down because Italian people prefer, let's say, this is not a general rule obviously, but they prefer to rent their house to the touristic market because they can, the price are different obviously, and Airbnb has for sure make easier to rent your apartment.
Right. No, absolutely. That's very insightful. Again, let me zoom out. Because we have a diverse audience. So you and me understand that. Okay, Italy is in Europe. We have been 6 to 7 cities. Which is very popular. We all know about Milan. What about other cities? So Milan is there. Rome is there. What are the other cities? Which is very popular in Italy, especially for international students and education universities as well.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, we have some point, what I call point of excellence in every single, in some of the Italian city. Just to name something, Bologna is one of the oldest, I would say the oldest university in Italy and also in Europe, with a great tradition, obviously, of professor that teach in this university. Some point of excellence, for example, engineering, automotive engineering is at the very best. Then we have also, for example, another example is Turin. Turin is in Piemonte, is another big city with a big university. Also with obviously other private, there is also another private university, but we can see it as a point of excellence. And then if we extend a little bit, we have Florence. Florence is a very vivid university market. There are a lot of American university in Florence, Italian university in Florence, and also a great number of private Italian university there in Florence. I forgot to tell you, to name also the fact that in Bologna we have the European campus of Johns Hopkins University, which is quite a large university in America. And so there are all around Italy point of excellence. I can tell you, for example, Padova. Padova is a very well-known university for psychology, for example. So you can find point of excellence in every city. You name it, Milan. Obviously I totally agree with you. I live in Milan, so I know, and you know better than me, that, for example, Bocconi University, there are a lot of international students going in Bocconi University. It is ranked among 100 top university in Europe and in the world. So there are, as said, point of excellence all around Italy.
And you mentioned about this huge campus of American University in Bologna. What is this university called?
Johns Hopkins.
How do you spell it?
Johns Hopkins University.
Yeah, Johns Hopkins. Okay. How about Rome? Because if I'm not wrong, Milan is more popular among international students. Rome is more domestic students. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can say that is for sure true. Okay, for a lot of reasons, obviously. But my experience in this moment is that also the other university in other city are moving fast. Okay, in order to gain more and more international students. I will give you this insight of what will happen in the near future. If you go and look at the demographic curve here in Italy, you can see that starting in 2026, the demographic curve will start going down. Sorry, that back in 2008, the demographic curve has started to going down. And by the way, a demographic curve that in 2008 start going down means that people turning 18, so starting the university in 2026, will be less and less as the year passes, okay? And this is something that has been analyzed by the university. And for this reason, all the university understanding that the Italian student, due to this demographic curve going down, will decline, has started to looking at outside Italy, okay, to gain more and more students and to open a lot of courses just in English in order to attract more and more university. I'm not sure, obviously, but I think that something like 90% of the courses in Bocconi are already in English, but all the university are starting to make courses only in English, 100% in English, aiming to attract more and more students from abroad in order to counter effect the decrease of Italian students that can be seen in the demographic, in the newborn demographic curve.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Is it?
So if you sum everything, okay, if you sum this thing, the provision rate, which is very low, and the fact that probably European students, as much as, let me say, worldwide students, are more in habit of living into a student accommodation instead of a single apartment or a single room inside a shared apartment, you can understand how the market here in Italy is very vivid from this point of view, because we know that the demand in the next years will go up and up.
Makes sense. But very interesting point you mentioned, like, SJ Bocconi got 90% of their courses being taught in English. Do you think that, probably in next 3, 5, 10 years, English will be the main language for education universities to attract more international students?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think so. Obviously I'm not Harry Potter. I do not have the magic wand or the magic ball to see in the future, but I think that it's a trend. Okay, we are, let me say, there are globalization will touch every single aspect of our life. So also this one, when I was in university and I graduate, I just need to make one exam in English, one special exam in English in order to make the fourth and the fifth year. Okay, so I need to pass an exam, otherwise I will not allow to make the fourth and the fifth year. But I study from the first year to the last year just in Italian. Okay, I'm pretty sure that my sons, I have two, will do the university. They are 14 and 10. They will do for sure the university just in English.
Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? What do you think?
I really like the university market and the university in general, because there is a share of experience, research, knowledge, and we can. I always say that young people can take a lot from their experience in university. So this is for sure a good thing, because the knowledge, the sharing of the knowledge will speed up a lot. I'm not worried personally by the fact that I don't think that we are losing our, let's say, native language, obviously, but from that point of view, an educational point of view, it's a good thing for me.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So why don't you tell me more about what are the type of accommodation in Italy?
Yeah, sure. So now, generally speaking, we have three different solutions. Okay, one solution is the student accommodation. The second solution is a room into a shared apartment. Okay, and another one is a studio by yourself. Okay, so a single, let's say, a room where you live just by yourself. We call it monolocale in Italy, or studio, generally speaking. So these are the three alternatives that you have. They are totally a different experience when you come in Italy. Obviously, into a student accommodation, just to give some number in Beyoo. In Beyoo, we have something like 60 different nationalities into our student accommodation. So you can easily understand how vibrant is living into a student accommodation. You know, habits of other countries. You stay with a lot other people. You are also obliged to speak English because obviously it's the common language, because you live the communal area inside the building with other people, and so you need to speak with a common language. And this is one experience. Also the cultural exchange is very high. When you live in a shared apartment, more or less, obviously, it is a more calm situation. You just stay with a smaller number of people that you need to be friends with. So better always try to understand who are your partner inside the house, your other mate inside the house, obviously. But it is a more, let's say, closed environment with a few number of people, less possibility to make some, let's say, social activity, social experience with other. And then we have the third one, which is the studio. Obviously, you are 100% independent. You can do whatever you want. But I always say, when you are alone, okay, if you have a problem, you have to solve it by yourself. Doesn't mean that you are not able to do, obviously. But if you are alone, you have to solve it by yourself. When you are with some other people, you can ask for an help or things like this. So probably that's there is some advantages in being alone, the independence for sure, but also some disadvantages, obviously. The other differences is that sometimes either a studio or in general a shared apartment is owned by a landlord who is a person like me or you, who does another job, and so it is not available 100% of the time. For example, Monday at 4 o'clock I am working and I cannot take care if there is a maintenance problem into the house, and sometimes in this case the problem is postponed, or the solution of the problem is postponed to the weekend, okay, so that you live sometimes in not in the best condition. Just to give an example, let's say Wi-Fi. If there is a problem with Wi-Fi, probably it can be solved during the weekend or in another moment, while when you stay into a student accommodation, it is immediately solved, okay, in just few minutes or few hours, okay, and that for sure is an advantage for the students.
Makes sense. And if you want to touch upon the price point of student accommodation, shared room, and studio.
Let's say if we make a ranking, okay, obviously price is, there is a sensitivity based on the city, so we cannot give just a single price for all Italy, because every city, every local city has a different point price. Just to give you an idea, if I compare Florence, okay, with Turin, they are totally different price positioning, because Florence is a higher touristic market, and so the prices are higher in that case. But if we rank, generally speaking, usually we can say that the student accommodation are the first price positioning, then we have the studio, and then we have the shared room, the room into a shared apartment when you search for them. This is obviously sometimes if you decided to stay into a student accommodation, you always must be very sensitive in order to judge what are you paying for. What does I mean? If I just stop myself because I see the high price. I say, okay, this is a high price, but you know better than me that, for example, I speak for Beyoo, but I think that also our competitors are more or less the same. You have Wi-Fi with no black holes, no black spot in all the building, high-speed Wi-Fi. There is gym. There are some of our student accommodation like Florence, which has a rooftop pool. You have communal area, you have cinema, you have communal kitchen where you can make some, let's say, party dinner together with friends. So there are a lot of facilities. You have a maintenance. So every time you have a problem, there is a maintenance guy which solve the problem. You have an accommodation team which can help you with some Italian typical things. I don't know, opening a bank account. If you need a doctor, there is someone ready to help you. I would say 24 hours a day. There is a huge security because you just enter from a single point. There are CCTV. Okay, so it's a very high standard. And all of this, if you just see the price and say, okay, it's too high, you have to consider everything else.
So I was doing some research, and basis that if you're right, the prices varies from city to city, location to location, room type to room type, and brand to brand. And international will keep saying that there's a trade-off between location, price, and room type. And to give some numbers, so in Milan, if you are looking for a studio, especially in a PBSA or a student accommodation, that's range have anywhere for 1,200 to 1,400 European per month. If you're looking for a single room, public student accommodation, that is around 1,000 euro per month. If you're looking for probably, one bed apartment will be around 1,000, and single room in a public student is around 600 mark. If you talk about Florence, again, it's 1,200 to 1,300 for a studio in a PBSA, around 700 or 750 is for one bed apartment, and approximately 550, 600 for a room in a private apartment or single room, which is around 550. If you talk about Bologna, the studio in a PBSA student accommodation is around 1,000 euro per month. Around 700, 750 is for one bed apartment, and approximately 400, 450 is for a single room in a private room or a shared room in a private.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and same.
Yeah, you're totally right. More or less, you're totally right. Obviously, in some, let me say, big city, okay, or city, which has a very great extension, great horizontal extension, there is a huge price differentiation. For example, if you live next to a train station, if you live next to metro station or these kind of things in a big city, the price can be a little higher, okay? And we see, for example, that from a location point of view, that real estate is location, obviously. The location is everything inside the...
You've been a branding manager, also location, but you also been getting brand.
No, that's for sure. No, I mean that when I, for example, you can also try to build a student accommodation, not exactly in front of a university, but if you build it next to metro station, okay, there is no problem because it's easier. For example, in a city like Milan,
it's connectivity. Yeah, the public transport is great. It's not very expensive. It's about connectivity. Yeah. So yeah. Please complete. You have a point.
No, and also that better than me that students care a lot about sustainability, care a lot about micro mobility, and today let's say, all the Italian cities are covered by a lot of micro-mobility service, small car, scooter, the other one where you, I don't know always how it is called, we call, where you stay, you stand,
Yeah.
that.
Or a EV scooter,
Or
I don't know.
the one where you stay, where you stay and you drive and you are.
It's bike. It's a EV bikes, which is electric bikes.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct. And all these kind of things are really very. There are a lot of these services here in Italy, here in each city, and they are coming also at a good price. So you don't pay too much, and you can move all around the city without any problem.
So, I've been reading some report that, there's a housing crunch in Italy and provision rate around 4%, which is lowest in Europe, So what innovative solution, is being done in this space by the sector, by your company, which is CRM and Beyoo, So let's talk about overall innovations and trends and patterns in student accommodation or accommodation in Italy, and then how CRM or Beyoo leading that change.
Sure. Thanks a lot for this. First of all, we have a dedicated team with a vast amount of experience and specialty who are working on this topic to ensure that we can provide the student with the best student housing here in Italy. So we design all the student accommodation around the student needs, okay? Where it is possible, we also tend to work, let's say, nearby and together with university when it is possible in order to understand really the housing requirement locally. For example, in all our student accommodation, we dedicate an area, a big area, I would say, to as a student rooms, okay? Because we know that the student really doesn't know where he can go to study, and so we provide him with a place where he can stay silent, good environment, air change, okay, frequent air change, okay, in order to study, and that's it. I mean, there are a lot of obviously solutions like this one, for example, and we always pay a lot of attention of what the university needs are in order to project our building, okay, exactly in the same way.
Right. And we've been talking about Milan, Rome, probably Turin, Florence, Bologna, Padova, but are there other cities which are very popular with students and international students? If yes, so what are the specific challenges and opportunities of providing student accommodation in smaller Italian cities, and towns, right? And what are the trends? How do you ensure that students? Okay, why don't you share? Which all cities you have your buildings?
We have building in Turin, in Florence, in Bologna, in this moment, and then we have a pipeline for the future that will bring us in all the main country around Italy. As I said, we are actually far from saturating top Italian city as Milan, Rome, Turin, and Bologna with PBSA bed. But at the same time, we already know that also smaller cities, even facing some limitation in the infrastructure and investment, offer a great potential for growth. When I tell you that there are also some great points of excellence in also small universities which are not placed exactly in big city, and this is the case. So we know that also in smaller cities there is a great potential for growth. growth. Obviously, there are some challenges that you need to face when you have in a smaller city. You have a smaller university, even if excellent one, so there is a lower demand. Okay, so a large-scale student accommodation project probably can't have success, and you have to go smaller. Okay, but try to be, in any case, have a good profitability for your investor. Okay, because obviously a building with a limited number of beds, okay, must be carefully projected in order to be, let's say, profitable. Okay, smaller city obviously offers also a lower number of amenity, entertainment possibility, and student community events. Okay, so they in some case tend to reduce the attraction for international students. And let's remember that the international students are the most in habits of going into student accommodation to stay. Obviously, then we have also another problem which is related to fluctuation. Okay, because what has happened in big city, that you know better than me, that in 10 months of academic year, okay, we can cover each bed. Okay, so we can have for 10 months a building full of students, and then we have 2 other months more or less where we have to understand how to fill the building, because the building has a cost for 12 months.
Yeah, which are these months?
For Italy, it's more or less, let's say, June and July. July and August, more or less. Then it can be a little also September, but we can say more or less these 2 months. Okay. Obviously, what we tend to do is to use the building also for summer school courses or for tourism. But obviously, tourism is something that you can find in big city and not so easy in smaller cities. So you have to understand, okay, a student studying in a small city want a room for 10 months. What I will do with that bed for the other 2 months? Okay, and then also you have to face probably a lower ROI of your investment, accept a lower ROI of the investment, because the pricing in smaller city is usually lower than the big one. Okay, and so probably this means a lower ROI that sometimes can prevent the investor to put their money into this market. Okay. At the same time, there are a lot of other main opportunity. For example, lower real estate cost. Okay, because obviously in big city like Milan, the cost of the real estate costs are really high. Okay, there are the cost of living for the students. Okay, is more affordable in smaller cities than in a big city like Milan. Okay, probably we'll also have the possibility of stronger nomination agreement with university, because you can be, just to give you an idea, here in Milan, almost all the university has 1 or 2 buildings, or even more in some cases, dedicated to students as a student accommodation directly managed by the university. It can be that in a smaller city, you have the possibility to make stronger nomination agreement with university. Okay, you can come with the government in order to make some partnership to develop the underrated areas. Okay, which are not always the big city. Okay, and that's more or less the main opportunity that you have. Also, for example, just consider more comfort for the parents, okay, who come to visit their son when they are in university. It's easier in a smaller city to be there, to be present, to find an accommodation also for the parents, affordable one. So there are obviously some advantages in investing also in smaller city.
Cool. Well, no, that's been great and it's so insightful, and I'm wary of your time. So before I wrap up, a couple of questions. What are the future trends? What do you see Italy, taking a cue from Europe or probably UK, or which are more mature markets? So what are the future trends you are assuming or you are predicting to happen in Italy in next 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years? And how we can have a better provision rates or more good student accommodation, which is affordable, which is well connected, and also which is probably more visible, beyond Italian student housing and global. One good thing that can be done is what you have done. You have listed with University Living. We've been helping you with lots of visibility, insights, and students. Apart from this, what are the other options? And then the last question will be, which are again asked, I will remind that how does the student accommodation as a sector contribute to Italian economy, or overall welfare of students, universities? But that is the last question. Before that, about future trends. So what future trends you are seeing in Italy as a student housing market?
Yeah, sure. First of all, the number of university students continues to increase in Italy. The increase of these students till now has been mainly driven by Italian students. Okay, so just to give you an example, if we go back to my grandfather, probably my grandfather was not in university. My parents probably can have the possibility to go into university. Okay, I went into the university, and all the people of my same age, more or less a great portion of them, went into the university. I'm pretty sure that my son will need to go into the university, okay, because otherwise they will have a great risk of unemployment, okay? And this is the projection for the future. So an increase of number of students, an increase of number of international students due to what I was telling you before. So the fact that the university has understand the needs to open to university. And so the market of the students will continue to grow up. In 2025, there has been a 4% increase in student registration compared to the previous period. Okay, Rome is still the leading city in number of university present and also in number of students present there. And then Italy is overall an emerging market for new development opportunities. I think that Generation Z and Generation Alpha, okay, continue to look for accommodation that provide them some opportunity of on top of just being a place to stay. Okay, all the new generation have totally different needs than previous generation. I mean, if you look today, connection, social things, mobile, we are always connected, and they want to be connected. So they don't want to have just one bed, but they want something else, and this something I can find. As I said, Generation Z and Generation Alpha has a totally different needs than the previous generation, and this is something that they can find only for my opinion, into a student accommodation. Okay, they also want an accommodation that is more well-being oriented, environmental focused. Okay, not only, I mean, okay, I stay into an apartment. No, I want something that help me from, let's say, mental health to be.
They need more gyms. They need more gyms. They need more catch-up area. They need more common area which can have activities and something which keep their mind stimulated. Also you think that connects, because most of the students are traveling from different countries, the language, the food, the culture, at time gets over it. So if they have people to talk about, share about, so yeah.
Yeah, that's also the reason why in a near future, you asked me about economic impact, but I can also tell you that personally, me as a marketing manager of a company managing student accommodation, obviously we are plenty of space in this moment, so we can build other student accommodation and there is no problem. But I think that in the future we will have to struggle more on selling not only the student accommodation but the engaging program that we are able to provide to the student. For example, Sorab coming into one of our student accommodation can come together with our student under my supervising the things, because I am the accommodation manager. For example, we can go together to discover one museum, we can stay together cooking Italian pasta or this kind of thing. So the program that we will be able to tailor around the student will be more important, even more and more important than just the location. Okay, the location will be okay, but we will arrive at the point where all the student accommodation brand will have more or less the same USP. Okay, so Wi-Fi, gym, that's okay. But then we will play and we will put money into making marketing, okay, to have a big, interesting program, engaging program for the students. Okay, that's the what I see the forecast for the next coming. Then coming to your question about economic impact, first of all, you know that Italy is globally a popular destination for tourism, and now is increasingly becoming a popular destination also for international students, and it will be more and more in the next future. Also having the possibility to join the two things together. So you stay in Italy, you study in Italy, you can also visit Italy with, that we have the biggest number of worldwide UNESCO site, okay? And this is something that I would say if you have to study in university and you come in Italy, you have also the possibility to discover a very beautiful place with something that is, let me say, unique from my point of view in the world. Then we have, as I was telling you before, four of the Italian university are now ranking within the top 20, within the top 100, sorry, in Europe, and this will increase in the future, attracting more and more students. This drives to an increased spending on rental service, everyday goods, and local business. Okay, because obviously the students stay in a place locally, but they want also to enjoy, go to a restaurant, go to a pub, go to a disco, all around. Okay, tourism and hospitality market will have a side effect with a beneficial impact too, because the family of students studying abroad will come for visit in a big number. We are already seeing this in our student accommodation. Usually, parents who has the possibility in 10 months, a couple of times come here. So if I take, for example, a building like Turin, which is for 582 rooms, okay, you can understand that a couple of the parents of this big number coming in Italy twice per week is a huge amount of money that they bring to the city. We hope also that we are able, thanks to as a sector, so the student accommodation generally, we are able to support urban regeneration, okay, particularly concentrating the effort on less development area of the city, okay, making building with a focus on energy efficiency, renewable energy consumption, and also waste reduction. And all this will help Italy meet the sustainability goals that it has for sure. All the buildings that I see are 100% sustainable building, so that's I mean, fantastic.
And that's it, I would say. And the other fact that I think it's very, very important, and this is also, let me say, a general rules, a general things that I need to teach also to my sons, is that with a huge amount of students coming in Italy, okay, it is more likely that some of these students will decide to stay here and contributing to Italian labor force. And this is, I think, is a great thing, not because they are taking out, because they can give us a lot of things, okay? And I say this is fantastic, because the new generation will always bring innovation, new things together with them, contributing to develop our country for sure.
That's amazing, and that's the beauty about international education. That's the beauty about students and young students, because they are full of possibilities. They are full of aspiration, dreams, and innovations. And if you see most of the other European countries or Anglophone countries, not only international students bring lots of international or foreign exchange, they also bring lots of culture with them. They also bring lots of learnings for local and international students along, which promote peace, love, and that aspect that we are all human beings, and it's foster peace, it's foster culture, it foster love, right? By also
absolutely.
And by leveraging technology, talent, innovation. And I'm so glad that Italy and most of European countries are very open, especially in the era of where there are a couple of wars happening, where there are other markets getting slow, so due to which great to see that Italy as a international student hub is getting more popular. The other day I was talking to Uni Italia. I met Indian High Excellency Mr. Antonio Baltoli, and I was so impressed and glad to meet them. There was university rep from BDA Bocconi, SJ Bocconi, ICUM, University of Catalia, so lots of things are happening and promoting by platform like us, provider like you, other universities. So last bit, and I let you go. I know it's been an hour, and thank you so much for your time. How University Living is creating value for Beyoo and CRM students? How's your experience with interacting with University Living, our team, and you can be as candid. I'm not saying that you only don't need to say good things. Even if it's in recording, you can be candid. And would love to have your feedback or how living is creating value for you guys.
I'm totally honest with you. As a marketing and sales manager, my struggle, my challenges on a day-to-day work is how I can reach a student that want to come to study in Italy, okay, to understand that there is a possibility into my building, okay, that there is not only a bed, but that there is something more here. And the only possibility is to gain visibility, okay, on foreign market, because I'm pretty sure that when I look at the number of different countries where the students come from, this is more than 60 in our buildings. And so those people are people that are in their own country, okay, and they need to come in and know that there is Beyoo ready for them when they come in Italy, or tomorrow in Spain now, because we are in Spain, or somewhere else, no problem. And if it is not Beyoo and is another brand, no problem, under our responsibility. So the only possibility is to go and contact them when they are at home. And one of the possibilities that University Living is giving us is the possibility to show our own building to them. Okay, Obviously, there are a lot of other initiatives, but for example, I do not have enough force, enough power to go and I mean, opening an office in India saying, okay, you want to come to study in Italy, I'm here for you. So I need to rely on a specific platform which has a specific audience, okay, in order to cover my strategy main is to cover all the world, because I never know where a student comes from in Beyoo at the beginning of the year. So it can be from Austria, Australia, China, Japan, America, South America, Africa, whatever it is. So the more I am able to gain visibility and for my student accommodation, the better it is. Okay, knowing that I am giving back a value to them, I make for the student easy to search for a student accommodation. I think that the importance of your platform and in generally speaking of all the platform is also that, I mean, you can always come to our building and see the building by yourself, so that the student can trust that there is really a building and that they are not taking a plane from India coming in Italy and finding just to find that there is nothing. So when I speak with University Living, I always say, okay, I can show you the building and you can tell to the student that the building is for real, okay, and that's it. And it's something more that we can convince the student, because I'm honest, after sometimes in this market, I already know when a student comes and say, okay, but there is really a building there, because I am searching on Google and there is no Google, because obviously they also use Google Maps to zoom in and probably it is not up to date, and they say, okay, it is not up to date till now, but it will be. And so thanks to the platform, we can obviously give more a sense of trust to the students when they want to come with us.
Sure. Thank you so much, for your kind. But if I be again more specific, this is for all platforms, right? What 3 things, which you're not working with everyone, right? You're working with few, what are those 2 or 3 things which differentiate us with other platforms? And one is we are creating trust. We are giving you confirmed students. We are reducing your cost of acquisition. We are increasing occupancy rates and also giving you more international students, right? So these are obvious one. But anything else which you see value and which probably, and it can be a feedback also.
The fact that there is always a team we can speak on if there is one problem with a student, if we do not receive a document that we need from a student, that you can contact him, this student for us, because we are not able. Sometimes there is also language differences, obviously, and so thanks to an intermediate, we can arrive at the student. We can always count on you as a quality partner, okay, who help us with the students, okay, and I would say this one, for the moment, I do not have any negative feedback, really. I think that the website, I can also, another things, you are very fast in changing the offer. If I need to change the offer because I want to change a price, or for example, there is no more availability of a room or a booking period, I can always say to you, okay, no more that room, no more that period, and that's it. So I always find that you have a very fast service, that's for sure, and that's it.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. And thank you for your time. Would love to host you in person whenever you're in India. Would love to host you. And whenever I'm next in Milan, would love to meet in that amazing Starbucks reserve.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Have a great week. And thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.